Welcome to the Friday Nights. I'm Jason Sandberg. Fellas, I had a fantastic week. I got this baby in the mail. Very excited to get to read this. Chris, this book is beautiful. Just beautiful. I did a quick flip through. Looking forward to reading this. This is Chris Faction's book, Nano 13. And the other reason why this is a fantastic week is I have behind me my Nexus collection, my short box of the Nexus books, the novel, the last graphic novel, and the king-sized jumbo galactus-sized newspaper strip book. I love Nexus. I had fun putting together a little trailer, a little walk down memory lane of the 100 plus issues in Nexus. And we have the man here tonight, Mike Barron. So I am so excited to introduce him to some new fans, reminisce about some old stories and so forth, and look at his new project. So this is going to be a fun episode for me. It's going to be a great week. Craig, how's your eye? How was your week?
Yeah, so unfortunately, the doctor, he didn't want to operate yet. They want to try some more things. I think he just wants to make sure he doesn't get a lawsuit. They want to prove they do everything. So I'm still got one eye for another 2 more episodes of Friday Nights. But they'll get to fixing me eventually. Other than that, life's good. The weather's warmer. Things are better. There's a Smokes the Fox written by Mike Barron as well as Justin. I don't know if Justin's going to show up in our chat as well. So
I think that's the Don Perlin cover too. So
hey guys, go support Justin on the Indie Comics Brawl. He's live right now, fighting it out with
Look at that beautiful cover right there. Isn't that an amazing book?
Man, what a great
Private
book.
American. Oh, it was such a great book. Non-stop action, everything you could ask for in a book. And last but not least, showing off this piece, which I know Jason may or may not be jealous of.
I'm jealous. Yeah, I'm jealous.
So yeah, those are the books I pulled out of my collection for this week. How you doing, Chris?
Well, I'm in Central Texas, and we have been fighting Mother Nature. So it's been a blast. My dad lives just south of me and has been through 2 tornadoes in the last week. And unfortunately, his childhood home was hit by one of those tornadoes, and it's still standing, but there's a lot of damage, and they're, trying to get that cleaned up and everything.
Okay for the most part.
Yeah. No injuries from anyone that I know, but there's a lot of devastation. And I used to do disaster relief a long time ago, and so I know the guys that are out there doing cleanup and search and rescue and all that. My heart goes out to them. Stay safe. So I've been reading this. I honestly just today, Secret Comics presents. It's really cool, just black and white anthology stories. It's just a few. I think it's like 22 pages. There's 5 different little short stories in here. One of them's only 2 pages with absolutely no lettering, and it's so creepy. So check out Secret Comics Presents. Nice. It's really cool. And then, yes, as a lot of you know, Nano 13 came in this week, and cool. I know a lot of you have got your copies, and a few of you are still waiting on them. I did get 3 new backers yesterday, so I was super excited about that. So yeah, I hope everyone enjoys, and I can't wait to hear the feedback because it's my first book, and I would like to, know what everybody thinks and see where I can improve.
Mike, how was your week? What are you reading? Anything good?
I'm reading The Bullet Garden by Stephen Hunter. He's a great writer. He created a sniper hero named Bob Lee Swagger. This is about Bob Lee's father, Earl Swagger, and takes place during World War II. A number of his books have been turned into movies and TV series, most notably Shooter. And I just finished a book called Tombstone, which is the true story of Wyatt Earp versus the Clanton Gang. And right now I'm also reading a nonfiction book about 1974, which was a pivotal year in our culture for movies, music, and TV shows. I'm always reading 3 or 4 books. I have a bedroom book, a bathroom book, a kitchen book, and a car book.
That's good. Very good. Very good. Mike, on the Power Pop front, any good albums that have come out this year you'd recommend to people that want to scratch the itch on Power Pop?
I hardly know where to start. But, I'll name a couple. Ransom and the Subset. Their new record just blew me away. Ryan Allen and his Extra Arms have a new record out, and it's fantastic. David Cope and the Sass, their new album reaches for the stratosphere. If you want to hang on a second, I'll give you a rundown of the stuff I've been listening to.
Yeah, definitely.
I'm working on record reviews here.
Nice.
I found out when I was a kid that if I wrote about music, I get free records.
It's a good life hack. Good life hack.
I've been doing that ever since.
That's what when I was playing in a band and touring and stuff, that was one of the best perks is all the free music.
The Burroughs is an 11-piece soul band from Greeley that's fantastic. I just reviewed their new album, but that's not power pop. What do we got here? Paul Collins has a new record out. He's the king of power pop, and it's very good. Emperor Penguin, Dolph Chaney, another great power popper. The Lunar Laugh, they've been around forever, and their new record is very good. Brad Marino. I've been listening to Kurt Baker recently. He's a genius. He's like a modern Marshall Crenshaw with an unforgettable voice. There's so many power pop bands out there. You can't possibly keep up with them all. I try, but I'm only hitting a small fraction of them.
Sure. Well, thank you for the recommendations. And on the topic recommendations, I'm currently inking and coloring Jupiter. And on your recommendation, last year I watched Bosch, the series Bosch on Amazon. Loved it. I'm due for a rewatch. So I'll likely rewatch Bosch while I'm doing coloring. It's a fantastic show, and thank you for the recommendation.
You're welcome. Netflix also has The Lincoln Lawyer, which is also based on the novels of Michael Connelly, and that's very good.
Very good. Very good. So Craig, who's in the chat?
Yeah. So starting off, we got Vulcan is saying hail to the Friday nights, and legendary Mike Barron, hail to you as well as always. Vulcan's here, join us every Friday. Appreciate the support. Jackknife, hello Vulcan. Hi evening. Too bad. Oh, again, Jackknife. We're gonna need you to keep us on time. We're only doing 1 hour tonight, so right at that 1 hour mark, feel free to let us know that we got some.
Well, I'm bailing, but you guys can keep going.
We're kind of boring, aren't we, guys?
Yeah. We've got Good Stuff's join us as well. Says hi everyone. Hi to you as well, Good Stuff. I'm not high yet. I stayed sober, but I will be as soon as the show's over, guaranteed. Matt Barr's joining us. The show might hail to you as well. Thank you for joining us, Matt. Hojo's joining us. Let's see how quickly I can do this. Hojo says,
Hojo.
hail amigos. And
kids, that was Hojo driving by in the Mythicals machine. Go check out Mythicals 1 and 2, and I think the guy's working on number 3.
Here's a K-pop says, what's up? Hello. Thank you for joining us, K-pop. As always. We always got the best regulars in the world on this show.
We do.
Yeah. And then Good Stuff, fucking Colorado. Sorry, my eye skipped there. There you go. And there's our chat for this evening.
So we're creative types here, Mike, and we are nose to the grindstone. We don't have time to keep up with the news. So Craig keeps track of the most important, impactful news stories of the week and then presents them to us, and we kind of talk through them. And this is a great place for people to get caught up when they're been sequestered working on their artwork. And we like to provide a community service by looking at the most important news items of the week. Craig, what's story number 1?
Yeah, you don't got to go to The View. You don't got to go anywhere else. You just come here every week and you'll get the 3 craziest stories for the week. Well, epic fail. Hold on, let's try that.
Look at what
that's the first time I've done that. So.
You got one eye.
All right. All right. So a first topic here comes from News 18. A U.S. woman was living inside a grocery store signboard at the family fair. She was up there in that triangle chain of that store. She had a PC, a computer, a mattress, a coffee maker, and she was up there for a good year until they found the electrical cord across the roof and then followed it.
So Chris, how do you think she was using the rest? What was her hack to use the restroom? What was her strategy, do you think?
Oh, she had a coffee maker, which means she had coffee cans. That's sorry, guys. It's the reality of the situation. I was in the military. Craig knows when you
Yes.
got to go, you just find a container.
That's right.
Well, that's a Florida man story, obviously.
Yes.
That's the American dream, right?
So Craig, help me out. Was this a poor Gen Z woman who was just pinched by life, pinched by by Bidenomics, or was she like some hippie who just refused to pay money to the man? What drove her to this?
I would hate to say, but you know how this always works out. It's a citizen for a long time. She obviously getting older and life caught up with her, and she lost her house and all that. You know, if she was brand new to the country, she would have everything, right? A free phone, free hotel room, and everything else you could ask handed to her. So no, this is struggling to survive and get by. Yeah.
Wow.
I'm surprised we're not all living up in somebody's big sign and
Right.
grabbing fiddles during the dead of night and running back up there. You save a lot of money on food and rent.
You do. I do recall being a kid and thinking like how cool it would be to get locked in like Target overnight or get locked in the grocery store overnight. But sure enough, this lady did it. She did it.
I was going to say to Jackknife's comment there, if she was Jennifer Connelly, she don't have to live in a sign. I get in trouble. My wife's going to give me
Yeah,
trouble.
but you remember that time Elijah Dushku got busted for shoplifting, and she was literally just shoplifting because she was bored. Rich people do weird shit.
Yes. Oh, I've seen them do crazy stuff. They'll go on the return stuff and start fights in stores, and you're like, I know this person. They're a real estate agent. You make like really good money. You're just here because this is your power kick for the morning, is to start a fight with someone in a store. Oh yeah.
So this is a woman who was driven to extremes by the crazy topsy-turvy economics of the current day. But this is basically the tip of the iceberg. We have an investigative report here on the Friday nights that's going to deep dive into what's happening with this whole strategy of micro apartments, micro squatting. And Craig, do you want to call up the slide deck?
Yeah, I was just so excited to show it. That's why I jumped again.
Yep. So on the Friday nights, we've done investigative reports. We've done weather reports. This is the first time that we're doing a Zillow report. All right, first slide, please. All right, so this apartment here in Minneapolis, it looks beautiful, nice brick building. But as you can see, the housing market is such that even a 30 square foot room, it's pretty expensive, $92,000. Yeah, Mike,
is that to purchase it?
Yeah, that is to purchase it. Yep, Mike. But back in your Milwaukee, back in your Wisconsin days, what was the smallest apartment you had to live in during your insurance company days?
Oh gosh, it wasn't that small. It wasn't big. It was just a standard size apartment with a 1 bedroom, a living room, a kitchen, and a bathroom. I lived in on the Beltline, and when I lived in Boston, I lived in a succession of smallish places. But this reminds me of the couple that was discovered in the attic of a Walmart. They've been living there for 2 years, cooking meth. They had a flat screen TV. They had all the comforts. And that story found its way into my third Florida Man novel, Catfish Calling, where Gary is frustrated by the self-checkout machine. I know we've all been frustrated.
Oh, yeah.
We don't know what it wants. So Gary punches the machine, and then the machine starts going, whoop, 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 attack, attack. And the security guards chase him, and he finds a ladder and runs up into the attic, and that's how he discovers this couple.
Very good. Very good. Ripped from today's headlines.
Meth cooking Walmart attic.
No, and that's a true story, by the way, that there was a couple living in the attic of Walmart cooking meth with a big flat screen TV and a nice sofa, stuff they'd hauled up at night.
So I wonder so they just slept during the day and then got done to visit at night.
Right. As long as they weren't using the meth, they were
slept at all.
Yeah. Hey, art imitates life.
All right, so this is not the only Zillow ad we found for a micro squat apartment. Craig, what's next?
So is that all? Yeah, it is.
Yeah. So that Amazon warehouse right there, that Amazon distribution facility, 90,000. Now that is not for the building itself. That's for the apartment up in the drop ceiling. Now but you even though it's you only get the drop ceiling, it is almost over a half million square feet.
Yeah, it's spacious.
Yeah. Now you can't walk everywhere, but you have access to the view of over a half a million square feet. I don't know if I think for me the deal breaker, I don't think I could get my wife to go for this because it's just got the one bath.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, but again, it is a renter's seller's market. Craig, what's next? So, you heard about the story that was from the headlines. Mike, what would you think about renting a micro apartment where the window was the O and the IHOP sign?
Well, it has a certain panache there, but I'm happy to have my own house, crummy as it is, and we have a fairly low mortgage, so I can live with it. But I ride my bike and dream of moving on up. I was looking at Prince Harry and Meghan's house in Santa Barbara today, and
Okay.
it's about 18,000 square feet and sits on 7 acres. It has an Olympic-sized swimming pool and 9 bathrooms, and that appealed to me.
Guys, we're gonna have to back Nexus hard.
Please.
All right, Craig, I think there's another Zillow report we found.
Okay.
All right. Now this one's a little bit different from the other ones. This is not an exterior sign. This is actually an micro apartment behind the menu sign at a Taco Bell. I don't know how they could get 2 baths in there, but there's claim there's 2 baths.
It may be just a trap door down into the men's and ladies' rooms.
Ah, yes, men's room, ladies' room. There you go. Brilliant, brilliant. All right. So again, these are crazy times, and I think they're going to continue to be crazy for quite some time. Craig, do you want to bring up the final slide? So as we all know, there's underlying economics behind the inflation. It's going to continue. Some people are just going to move in with mom and dad. Some people are going to protest for the wrong reasons. But I think that those poor kids in Gen Z, they're going to be in for a tough haul. So if you have some space behind some signage, if you've got a garage with some space you can renovate, it is a renter's seller's market. Just check out Zillow.
Remember, kids, they're giving non-citizens homes, hotels, and $3,000 credit cards.
Can you leave and come back again? Would that work by chance? Or?
Oh, I'm
worth
sure.
a try.
So is there anything else we want to add to the lady living in a family fair sign? I don't know if I wrapped it up where the police just basically told her to move along and she just went about her way. So she wasn't arrested or anything like that.
I think this is going to be the first of many stories in this vein. So we'll keep an eye on it. We'll keep our finger on the pulse of this story.
Making that square footage count. Okay. So next one comes from AP. 706 Kyles met in Kyle, Texas, in an effort. I don't know if this is their second effort, but they do this where annually they try to meet to break the Guinness World Records. However, they had again, I have a terrible time reading. I think they had 1,416 in a previous attempt. So this is less than half of what they had. So gonna need some more Kyles.
So you're saying they did not break the record?
No. The record's actually held in Bosnia by Ivans.
All right.
Well, not the Kyle record.
Right.
You hear certain names and it always evokes a certain personality type. And Kyle seems like the kind of guy. Kyle is the kind of name where they don't really follow through on things. You know, they're not malignant
in the sheetrock.
There's that. They do.
My nephew's named Kyle.
Does he seem like the kind of guy that could get other Kyles together to show up at the right time, right place?
Yes, he does.
All right.
Well, there you go. There you go. We need Mike's nephew to organize the next Kyle-a-thon.
All right, Kyles of the world. You need to unite. We're rooting for you. Better luck next time.
Yes. They just need more Kyles.
All of you using your screen names on here. Any of you named Kyle? K-pop junkie, are you really named Kyle?
Yeah. This isn't one of those things either where you can like falsify it, like show they verify identification. You have to prove you're a Kyle in order to enter.
So you don't need an ID to vote, but you need an ID to prove you're a Kyle.
That's correct. Yes.
Crazy stuff.
Well,
All
they
right.
don't mess around in Texas. Yeah.
I guess.
And the last
We're just having fun around here.
The last one does come from Fox. I grabbed this one, even though I say I try to avoid using Fox. It's a Florida man story. Florida man drunkenly steals a school bus and he drives 4 hours to Miami. Yeah, hijacked a school bus. Went on a drive around the state.
So how do you evade the police for 4 hours in a stolen? You think it was more the
Well, you just keep driving.
Yeah.
I mean, they got you in their sights, so you don't stop. I mean, it's a school bus. What are you going to do? Run down any patrol car?
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah, they can't pit them. I mean, the only thing I do kind of wonder why spike strips weren't thrown down, but you know, I mean, it's also the school bus is probably state property, and they didn't want to pay for it.
So he was high and drunk.
Yes. Well, on his voyage he was, yeah. And then they eventually caught it. I think they caught it parked and they grabbed him. And he said he was trying to bring the bus back. He said, I was trying to do the right thing and bring it back after I was done with it.
Mike, if somebody left the keys in the school bus, is he really to blame?
Well, I don't know about that, but this is low level Florida man stuff. It's low level. The one that resonates with me is Florida man claims syringe found in rectum is not his.
Yep. That's true. So when I was in the Army, I got stuck on gate guard for like 90 days, and it happened. I want to say like September 11th, 2014. So we all remember what happened then, right? Mm-hmm. So we're on high alert. You know, everybody's looking, head on a swivel. I was at Fort Hood. Yep, still Fort Hood. I'm not calling it Cavazos. And this guy, he's acting really strange, you know. So I have him pull over to the vehicle check area, and there was just something really, really off about this guy. I could tell that he was out of his mind, and so I called DES over, and they start searching him. He had sealed the glove box and the armrest, so they had to like bust those open. They found a bunch of cocaine. This dude had bags of cocaine, like 8 balls stuffed in his pockets. He's in uniform. And he tells the cop, these are my roommate's pants. I just put them on the way to work.
Right.
Fantastic defense.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
I've got some good gate guard stories.
Real genius there. Yes.
Yeah.
And so the bond was only $2,500, huh?
For this, yeah.
Wow, it's almost worth it.
He didn't damage any property.
Like Mike said, this is low level Florida man. You know what kind of Florida man stuff they're dealing with? This is no big deal.
Hey, thank you for driving the speed limit and not killing anyone or damaging any property.
Vulcan was asking what my MOS was. I was a 12 Bravo combat engineer. Breaching hell, bitches.
Nice. Anything else you want to add to the school bus?
I just really want to see Mike put Florida man behind the wheel of a school bus at some point.
You know, there's a scene in the second Florida Man novel where he and his friend Floyd get drunk out of their minds, and they've got 1,000 dead iguana in the back of their van that they scooped out of his pool, and they're wearing Santa Claus suits. It's Christmas Eve. So they drive to the Church of Scientology yelling, Merry Christmas, Merry Christmas. They open the van out front and they start shoveling the dead iguana out on the stoop at the entrance to the Church of Scientology, and a security guard comes out and says, "You can't do that here." And they says, "Yes, we're donating these for the children to eat."
Oh man.
That was after the nuns of Gavarone turned down their generous gift.
Guys, check out Florida Man. It is a
Yeah,
fantastic.
we just shipped the last one. Well, not just, it was a while ago. But let me show you the illustration. Matt Weldon did this. Matt Weldon's a genius, and he illustrated the whole book. And this is his wraparound cover, which must be seen to be believed. I just put it in your Mad Ruth Twitter feed there.
Oh, in my Twitter? Okay, I close that.
Oh, nice. Nice.
Open that up. Just give me a second.
Showed myself, but I'm technically challenged.
That's
No
okay.
problem.
I'm
It's a miracle I
technically
can speak
challenged
to
as
you
well.
now.
Oh, Vulcan was a 19 Delta. Yeah, I was in third cav, 3CR.
So, let me see.
Thank you, Vulcan.
Without being too much of a boomer. Okay.
Boomer.
Yeah,
Mike, one day I'm gonna.
This-
Mike, I actually have a story outlined that one day I'm gonna hit you up and see if you'll write it.
Well, all right, but send me a message on Twitter to that effect, because I got something to send you regarding that.
Okay.
It's not a bill.
Yet.
So is this from Florida Man versus Hogzilla?
Yeah, this is Florida Man versus Hogzilla. Matt Weldon did that piece, and Kelsey Shannon colored it.
Nice.
Beautiful.
Oh man, I love Kelsey's colors.
Yeah, he's great.
That's
Beautiful piece.
that's perfect.
Kelsey's going to be coloring the Nexus Remastered, which is going to be our next project, which is the first 3 black and white issues, which are oversized. They're magazine size. They're not small. And they've never been colored before. We already have some samples of his stuff. It's just mind-blowing.
Yep, definitely looking forward to that.
So
Vulcan, I was in Saber.
first things first here, I just want to bring up his campaign while we've got
this book.
Yeah, we've got 30 minutes left, so I'm just bringing up the campaign right now before I play your trailer so that everyone can see. Right now the screen says 431 backers with 24.
No, we have 971 backers. That's just
wow.
on the one site.
Okay. Okay, so
it's on Find My Comic, Indiegogo, and Kickstarter.
Yep.
Nice. Very
Beautiful.
So for the 12 that we have watching right now, if you haven't seen it already, here is the trailer for Nexus Scourge.
An ancient evil, billions of years old, wages war on the universe. Entire star systems are vanishing without a trace, leaving devastation in their wake. Nexus, the intergalactic guardian of lost souls, must stop the unnameable terror and its expanding scourge of destruction. The totality of everything in existence will collapse upon itself if he fails. With the fate of the cosmos in the balance, Nexus must confront his most dangerous adversary yet. Can he save creation from total and certain destruction, or will darkness reign supreme? Find out in Nexus Scourge, the all-new epic sci-fi adventure from Eisner-winning co-creator Mike Barron, exploding with Kelsey Shannon's dynamic artwork. Order at Indiegogo.com.
Thanks,
Very
Vulcan.
cool. Very cool.
Yeah.
So, Mike, I put together a little montage of past issues of Nexus, and Mad Ruth is going to kind of play that in the background, and while you kind of do an introduction to Nexus in general, and then this particular, the plots of Scourge, and just to kind of give some background to the richness of the history of Nexus and the beauty of the art in the past and so forth. So treat me in the audience as if they've never heard of Nexus for some reason. Where would you begin? How would you describe Nexus?
Um, Nexus is a reluctant executioner of mass murderers 500 years in the future. It's a mashup of science fiction and superhero, but we take our science fiction very seriously. And if you've read the book, you know that we put a scientific basis behind everything we can, including interstellar travel. When I sat down to create this character, I knew they wanted a superhero. I asked myself, what would be dramatic? Well, it would be dramatic if every time he showed up, somebody died. But I didn't want to make him a cold, calculated killer. So I made him this reluctant executioner of mass murderers. And by that, I mean, when Nexus sleeps, he's bombarded with dreams of tyrants throughout the universe, the cruelest men and creatures imaginable, who cause the deaths of thousands and millions of people. And when he wakes up, he knows that he has to seek them out and kill them, or the dreams will recur more and more intensely until they drive him mad. Now, we've had 40 years of world building behind us, and there's so much more to it than that. But I design every issue to be entertaining in and of itself. I don't want people to think that they have to start at the beginning and read every issue to enjoy an issue of Nexus. No, that's not the case. It's got to grab you by the throat no matter what book you pick up. And fortunately, I've learned a few things over the years, and one of them is how to intrigue the audience, how to make the audience care. Because the most important question in fiction is, what happens next? Because if the reader doesn't care, he's not going to turn the page. Well, how do you make the reader care? There are an infinite number of ways. But for me, I've distilled them down to the first three, and these are only three. Number one, an unforgettable character. And I always think of Sherlock Holmes, who's probably the most widely recognized fictional character in history. Number two, an intriguing or irresistible situation, such as Jurassic Park. And number three, a seductive narrative voice, which is harder to achieve in comics than it is in straight prose, but you can do it, and a number of artists have done it. And I think that I've done it too. And I promise you, if you read Nexus, you won't be bored. You won't set it down. There's not a wasted word or a wasted picture. Everything I do advances the story, and everything I do is designed to entertain. I learned to do this because when I first started writing comics, I would draw each page out by hand. I would draw the page on a big loose leaf binder, and then I would draw the first panel, and then I would draw in all the characters and situations, the spaceships, the cityscape, whatever. I'm not a good artist, but I'm good enough to get my ideas across. And then I would add all the word balloons and captions and directions to the artist. And it taught me so many invaluable lessons. Number one, how much weight a page can bear. If you're thinking of doing a comic and you've never done this before, I recommend trying it. Even if you can't do it all, just do stick figures. Number two, it forced me to think about what happens next. And as I said, that's the most important question in fiction, because if the reader doesn't care, he's not going to turn the page. And that made me think, I have to make every panel count. I don't want to be treading water here. I don't want to have a bunch of meaningless chit chat. Everything has to advance the story. And that doesn't mean that you can't use some narrative or some dialogue to advance the plot, but you keep that to a minimum. My three rules of storytelling are: one, entertain, and I never lose sight of that fact. That's my job. Number two is show, don't tell. And that's so important, especially in a visual medium like comics. It's also a good rule for life.
Mm-hmm.
If you're a good person, don't walk around with a shirt that says, I'm a good person. Go volunteer at a soup kitchen. But in case of comics, it means that any information you can impart to the reader visually to advance the plot, you should. And save your words for characterization or entertainment. I try to keep my words to a minimum. A comic has to have words. If it doesn't have words, you're going to breeze through it in 5 minutes and forget it. You'll say, yeah, those were some nice pictures, but it's the words that make the comic resonate, the words in context. And the examples are with us, and they've been with us for decades. Just think of, face it, Tiger, you just hit the jackpot. Or it's clobbering time. Those are phrases that resonate because we put them in the context in which they first appeared. And it's okay to repeat them if you're paying homage to where they came from, but it's not okay to use them in your own comic and pretend that they're your dialogue.
Right.
So I strive to make everything original. One thing I don't want to do is repeat the cliches of the past. I'll just give you a couple of examples. I don't think we're in Kansas anymore. If you ever find yourself writing that, stop writing. Try another profession. Number two is move at people. And, you know, I was going through an old Nexus a couple of weeks ago, and I found I had used that.
It didn't stick out like a sore thumb. So I think you're good on that one. You're good on that
and
one.
number three is we have to talk. There are a million ways to say that without using those words. And one thing I do is I carry a pad and pen with me at all times. And I listen, I eavesdrop on people. And when I hear an expression that strikes me as distinctive, something I've never heard before, I'll jot it down. And sometimes I come up with my own. And one of the things I came up with is I noticed that when people say, I'm going to, it comes out as I'm going to go into town and get a bottle of booze. I'm going to do this. I'm going to do that. So I started spelling it that way in my fiction, OMMINA. And it resonated with readers because they say, yeah, that's real. That's the way people talk. It's another thing I've learned is that if a story doesn't take itself seriously, the reader's not going to take it seriously. So I take every story I write very seriously. And that includes the wildest science fiction adventures. And it doesn't mean that we can rule out science fiction or horror, because two of my favorite movies are Alien and Aliens.
Yes.
Both of those are wild science fiction, but you believe in them because the filmmaker believed in them, and the worlds they create are absolutely credible, right down to the bolts on the hull.
Get away from her, you bitch.
What a great movie that is. You know, it's probably one of the very few sequels in history that's as good or better than the original, because most of the progress of sequels is they get worse and worse.
Yeah.
My
Diminishing returns.
My parents' first date was to see the original Alien at the drive-in movie theater that doesn't exist here anymore. But so, you know, I mean, I grew up in a sci-fi household. It was Star Wars, Star Trek, Aliens, and then of course my dad was a big Lord of the Rings fan. So, you know, I also lived in that fantasy world as well, which is probably why I'm here today making comics.
Well, I have to say that Peter Jackson's Lord of the Rings movies are great, that I believe them.
Yep.
They take them so seriously, and I take them seriously.
Yep.
I agree.
So, Mike, in Scourge, is Gormundo the threat that's making okay.
No, Gormundo is like this existential creature that drifts in and out of the story because he's only visible in hyperspace, the place between the physical universe and the next physical universe, when somebody is trying to traverse interstellar distances. And in Nexus, they traverse interstellar distances by traveling through black holes, which is based on a very real and sound scientific theory that you can read about in a book called The Iron Sun, that, as you know, a black hole is a sun that becomes so dense it collapses in upon itself because of the gravity, and the gravity is so great that not even light can escape, and that's why they're called a black hole. But what happens when a black hole collapses is like when a figure skater is out there twirling on the ice, and she brings her arms in like this, and she starts spinning 3 times as fast. And that's what happens to a black hole. So it throws out a gravitational field that's kind of frisbee shaped. I mean, it's all over the place, but there's only one area that you can use the black hole to travel interstellar distances. And that's if you insert your ship exactly at a 90-degree angle to the equator. The slightest deviation, you'll be crushed instantly. But if you can enter at exactly the right angle, it will suck you in and spit you out of a white hole some light years distant. And that's how Nexus travels between stars.
Nice.
I love that.
So I think Kelsey was born to be one of your collaborators.
I
think
believe so. This is just brilliant work. Every picture here, it just sings of Nexus, but also his own aesthetic that he brought to it.
definitely.
And this is the start of a beautiful friendship because he's working on 2 more Nexus projects.
I'm excited to hear that. And one of them is an adaptation of the second novel, right? Is that correct?
No, it's not an adaptation of the novel. Richard Meyer hired me to write a 3-issue series for him featuring Nexus. And he suggested that I should take my inspiration from Westerns. And I took him literally for that first issue. And you showed it a minute ago. Let me show you the cover here. I have it myself. Let me just dig that out. Yeah, this is the first issue.
Okay.
I have a limited number of these. If anyone is interested, please contact me and I will get one to you. But it's only the first issue. And there's 3 issues. And when he asked for 3 issues, it kind of lit a spark in me. And the story is about triplets, 3 kids who were born, and they have perfect telepathic mind meld. They can communicate with each other instantaneously. In the future, there is only one means of communicating instantaneously over interstellar distances, and that's telepathy. Some criminal organizations learn about this, and they kidnap the children and split them up on 3 widely dispersed worlds so that they can transmit the morning market numbers, the money market numbers, or the price of whatever it is they're selling instantly to the stock change on Earth, and thereby get a huge advantage over all other traders. And the kids' parents come to Nexus desperate. They don't know what to do. And Nexus says, I'll get your kids back. And that's how it starts out. And in the first issue, he goes after the first kid. And the other 2 issues, he goes after the second and third, obviously. And the worlds are wildly diverse. The first one is like a Western.
Great premise.
It's a primitive planet, which has mostly mining. They're interested in mining there. And there's an oligarch. There's a big shot, what's the name of that Western? There's evil big shots in every Western. The one that comes to mind is Valdez is Coming. It's a brilliant Western starring Burt Lancaster, which I recommend. I'm thinking of The Big Country, in which Burl Ives is the big landowner. But there's a character like that in the first issue of Nexus Triplets that Nexus comes up against, and has a little bit of the Old West flavor, because when Nexus travels through a black hole, the further he gets from Ilum, or from a type A sun, which is the type of sun that the Earth circles, his powers get reduced. They get reduced by 90% each time he travels through a black hole and moves further away from the sun source, unless he's lucky enough to arrive at a solar system that has a type A sun from which he can draw power.
Nice.
Very cool. Very cool. And in terms of the when the campaign closes, will the books be produced like right away? Is everything pretty much done,
The
ready
books
to
are
go?
at the printer right now.
Oh, nice, fantastic,
Boom.
fantastic.
We deliver on time or ahead of time.
That's right.
Love
And
it.
this book is stunning. It's beautiful. And the story matches it. You know, sometimes you buy a book because of the art. I know I did. I buy these books. I thought, this is the greatest art I've ever seen. And you read this story and you say, it's a shame the story is not up to the art. I promise you that's not the case with Nexus.
Heck yeah.
And question, in this story, Nexus's son, is he about the same age as the last time we saw him, or has some time elapsed?
Harry is 14 to 15 years old
Okay.
in the current run.
All right, very good.
He's
I
in
mean,
a band with
I'm
Nez.
okay. Yes, okay. I'm interested. I'm interested to see what course his life takes. So I think he's yeah. Nexus has always had a great ever growing supporting cast. But I'm based on the novel and so forth. I'm curious to see what happens to that young man. Should be interesting.
Yeah, among the supporting cast, Keith Vooper is probably my favorite. He's this Texas hustler that lives on Island, and he's got a finger in every pie.
I have to ask. I was exposed to Vooper before I ever saw Ross Perot.
Yes,
Was Ross Perot an inspiration
yes,
for Vooper?
yes. I
Okay.
told you to draw him exactly like Ross Perot.
Because for the longest time you would just see the name on the branding in the background, and they talk about Vooper, and then finally we saw him, and that was great. This particular panel here, is that in any way related to like Headworld?
That is Headworld.
Okay,
That
nice,
is Headworld.
nice.
And that's where the heads, that's their headquarters. The heads, of course, were liberated by Nexus in an early adventure when he interrupted a slaver, had this huge ship. Inside the ship was a nightmare, 10,000 bodiless heads that had been kept alive, each in his own little dome and hooked up like a battery. Because when they're linked together like that, they have unbelievable telepathic and telekinetic powers. But they were at the mercy of Clausius the slaver, so they had to do his bidding. Well, Nexus liberated them, and once they had free will and they could do what they want, they created their own world, Headworld. And that's where you go when you want to move an immovable object. Their telekinesis is so powerful that they can nudge worlds out of orbit or into orbit.
Oh wow.
I love so one of the great undercurrents of Nexus is to move past self-pity and to make the best of make the best of a bad situation. And I think it's a great background story what happened with the heads, and how they power themselves. They built a near utopia. And then they actually ended up several times coming to the aid of Nexus. We're like, they say we need to help Nexus and so forth. I think there's just it's part of the rich tapestry of the world you've built, and I always get a kick out of their undefeatable attitude, and their continuing to build almost a better life than they had prior to the tragedy that they befell from Claudius.
Yeah, Nexus himself is something of a heroic story because he grew up without any parental supervision to speak of on this lonely planet Island after his father, who was a tyrant and a dictator, blew up his home world and then realized what he'd done and said, well, I'm just going to end it all. I'm going to take my family and go into a black hole, and it'll kill us instantly, and that'll be it. But it didn't. It spat them out near this world Island that had been inhabited eons before by an intelligent race and had a breathable atmosphere, was all underground. And that's where Nexus grew up. But his mother went insane, and she wasn't there to raise him. And his father just drank himself almost to death, steeped in self-pity. In fact, he was going to kill himself. But Nexus had been receiving dreams about what his father had done. And he showed up just as his dad was holding a pistol to his head. And Nexus says, I'm sorry, Dad. And then he killed his own father because the dreams demanded it. And also to prevent his father's humiliation of suicide, although nobody would ever know that except Nexus himself.
And the good Lord.
So one of our regular people from the chat, his name is Jackknife, and he's wondering if you could maybe just tell one anecdote or one story about what it's like, compare and contrast making comics nowadays versus 40 years ago when you and the dude were starting Nexus. He mentioned some things that are different, and things that you think are more to your favor that make it a better, because you seem to be on a creative spree. What are some things that are different?
Well, in that days, we used to ship everything back and forth by FedEx. These big FedEx packages coming and going, pages, original art all over the country. And of course, now we have the internet. That's a huge change. Um, I was lucky enough to know some great editors like Denny O'Neill and Archie Goodwood. And those guys were writers first. They understood the importance of storytelling and they knew how to create a story. And that's what made them great editors. Today, not so much. I mean, we're all aware that Marvel and DC are circling the drain for many reasons, not the least of which is the rise of video games. But the other one that nobody in the regular industry will mention is because their stories don't entertain and they hire people that don't have any clue how to entertain. The editors don't know how to entertain. The people they hire don't know how to entertain. All they know is they got a big chip on their shoulder or a message they want to shove. And so they give us comics where people are lecturing you for page after page. And, you know, we've all opened a comic and seen 500 words in 8 caption boxes covering up the art, and the eyes glaze over. And you say, well, this isn't what I want. This isn't a comic. This looks like work. If I wanted to read a novel, I'd read a novel. And that's why I try to keep words to a minimum.
Yeah. If I want to get scolded, I'll go to the HR department.
Right.
Yeah.
Man, if the company I work for had an HR department, thank goodness we're a small business. There's only 10 of us. I would have been fired a long time ago.
Well, the bright side is that there's a bunch of out here in the Nether Zone who will never work for regular comics again, who are creating the best work of our career, and it's outstanding stuff.
And you are inspiring people like us that weren't in the mainstream, but realize that, you know, hey, if you have a story to tell the story. Let's do it.
Thanks, Chris. And just let me repeat my 3 rules. Number 1, it's your job to entertain. That's first. Number 2, show, don't tell. And number 3, be original. Well, so how do you be original? Well, we're all unique human beings, and we all necessarily bring our own experience to whatever it is that we write about. But the other trick to that is to carry the pad and the pen with you at all times and write down stuff that strikes you as interesting, or ideas, or even names. And if I hear a name that resonates, I'll write it down, then I'll use it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Always take notes. Yeah.
Fantastic.
So with this campaign, it was at 431 when we started, and I attached a link at the top. I'm just going to hit a refresh now. I know you at least got one backer over the 431, but
thank you, whoever you are. And so we have 971 backers. We actually have more than that, but it hasn't been updated recently. And we're over $50,000 now, and we're shooting for 100,000. If we shoot for 100,000, you won't believe what we're going to offer. But already, because we hit 50, we're going to offer an online interactive forum where the 3 of us, Chris Brawley, Kelsey Shannon, and me, are going to talk about the process that we go through, and we're going to interact with fans and answer your questions. We're also offering an original art card. But the main reason to get this book is because it's the most entertaining book you're going to read all year. It's unforgettable. You won't be able to put it down, and you'll read it over and over again. That's why I say, well, how can you charge $25 for a graphic novel? That's why. But if you go into a Barnes & Noble, they've got an enormous graphic novel section, and many of their books are more expensive than that. Some are a lot bigger, but some are a lot smaller. You get what you pay for.
And I have always gotten what I paid for with Mike Barron's stuff, and I will continue to pay for it.
Thank you, Chris.
So since you're here, can I ask one question here? The legal matter with the Daily Cause website. Do you have any? Can you give us any updates on how that's going with regards to what happened with?
They ignored us because they got like George Soros money, and they know we're not going to sue them because we can't afford it. However, we hired a great attorney, Ron Coleman, and he wrote a letter. And the letter is devastating. It's just devastating. And if you want to read that letter, I have a Substack column, Mike Barron on Substack. And the name of the column is Fast and Good. And it's mostly an ode to my partner, Richard Bonk, whom I've been working with recently, because he's fast and good. And the point of the article is very few people are fast and good. But we first collaborated on Private American, which, as you know, is about a vigilante on the southern border. And when word got out about that, the left exploded. They couldn't stand it. They couldn't handle it. How dare we impugn the perfect policies of the greatest president who ever lived? and so they ran a story, and the headline was, quote, Punisher creator Mike Baron releases another racist AF comic book. That's the actual headline, and was written by some creep who's never read anything I've written. Nothing. She was just a reactionary leftist troll. Her name is Star Mignon, StarRrMignon. You should look her up. Take a look at her picture.
I've had similar experience when the New York Times compared me to Timothy McVeigh. That was yeah. And I get interviewed for an hour and 45 minutes. They quoted me twice, and then just said, "Oh,
did you have a book at the time?"
No, this was actually in 2020 during the protests. I was one of those armed guys out there making sure that my community wasn't being burned to the ground, and New York Times reached out. So I knew, when New York Times reaches out, you're not going to get a fair shake. And,
but Chris, you could have monetized that if you had something to sell, because normal people don't like that. And that's why Private American did really well.
Yes. And that's, at the time, I've grown up controversial my whole life, being in a punk rock band. I totally know what it's like to. We even had Antifa try and get one of our shows shut down. That was hilarious because,
I'm writing a novel about Antifa right now. You're going to love it. By the way, the reason I wrote Private American was to show people what the Punisher should be doing. If you're interested in getting a copy, just go to baroncomics.com. You go up to the top, and it says Mike's Comics or Mike's Books, and click that on. It'll take you to everything we've published since the first Florida Man.
Heck yeah.
Yeah, Private American definitely felt a good Punisher.
We're working on a second one now.
I am born and raised in Texas. I can tell you straight up, we need some Private Americans.
You're going to get it.
When I re-upload this as a video, I'll make sure all those links are in there. The link to your website will be in there, any active campaigns, as well as you have the Baron and Earl show. Do you want to touch on when that is? And
if you go to Twitter and follow me at Bloody Red Baron, I just posted our latest interview, which was with Paul Rivoche, the great Canadian artist, and he's one of us, by the way. But we've interviewed Jim Shooter.
I saw the Shooter interview. That was awesome.
Walton and Wheezy Simonson we interviewed. Bob Layton, Rags Morales. We've interviewed a lot of industry greats. And there's something there for everybody. So check it out. It's called The Baron Earl Show on YouTube. BaronEarls, like the titles. I'm a Baron. He's an Earl.
I'll put that link in as well when I re-upload this episode.
All right, Jackknife screaming at us.
All right.
Mike, thanks for coming on. Keep on rocking. Looking forward to every book you put out. Looking forward to what you continue to give to us. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Jason. Thanks, guys, for having me.
Right.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
Thank you again, Mike, and have a great weekend, everyone.
There's a man from the swamps of Tallahassee. Don't care much for convention. He gonna be what he wants to be. Who's this man? Who's this man? That no one and everyone has seen. Who's this man? Who's this man? I know it can only be. Who runs naked through a dairy farm for
those tennis balls that are full of bees. Who tries to bite every cop he sees? Florida man, Florida man, Florida man, Florida man. He lives in his van, he's Florida man, Florida man, Florida man. He has sex with a can, he's Florida man, Florida man. Who robbed a bank with a rubber duck? Florida man, Florida man. Never gave a flip or gave a fuck. Florida man, Florida man. Who steals a truck without making a sound? Who made a tarp into an evening gown? Whose grandma makes the best meth in town? Florida man, Florida man, Florida man, Florida man. He lives in his van, he's Florida man, Florida man, Florida man. He votes Republican, he's Florida man, Florida man. Baseball with a feral cat. Florida man, tried to stab his boss with a sewer rat. Florida man, who snorts crank and screams in the street. Whose favorite food is human meat. Who gave Marco Rubio a Senate seat. Florida man, Florida man, Florida man, Florida man. He lives in his van, he's Florida man, Florida man, Florida man. Flash in the panties, Florida man, Florida man, Florida man. Flash in the judge, flash in the jury, flash in the bailiff, flash in his attorney, flash in anyone and everyone that he can.